This is CBC Here and Now.
Summer's here for the weekend, but what's in store next week?
Welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. We start tonight with the latest case of COVID-19. It's a woman from out of the province who's involved in the filming of the TV series Hudson and Rex. So what's the risk to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and what does this mean for the show? Here Now's Peter Cowan joins us live. So Peter, give us some details about what happened here.
Carolyn, I spoke with Paul Pope, whose company is producing this series, and he says the woman actually just flew in yesterday, and this testing was done as part of the procedures that they have when people from out of the province come here with a travel exemption. Now, the show mostly employs Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, but still needs to bring in new actors, for example, or other specialized crew positions. She was tested as soon as she arrived, and her interactions were minimal, according to Pope. Even the driver who picked her up from the airport had a divider, and both of them were wearing masks. The woman didn't have any symptoms. That's why she was allowed to fly here. Pope stresses that she didn't have any close contact with anyone in Newfoundland and Labrador, and he sees this as an example of the system working well.
We do have to learn to live with COVID. It's not going away anytime soon. You know, there are 200 people approximately working on the show, and if we're not going to do that, there should be a science-based reason. But as it stands now, the Department of Health is quite confident in our plan, and we're confident in it. And I think right now this is a demonstration of it working. Like, this isn't somebody who showed up, went around, nobody knew, there were no checks or balances. This is an asymptomatic person that our system picked up and quarantined, and is not interacting with the population in Newfoundland or providing any danger to the province. So that's we feel it's safe.
Public Health has put out a warning for other people who were on Air Canada Flight 690 from Toronto to St. John's yesterday, saying they should keep an eye out for symptoms, and if they do develop, call 811. Now, because the woman wasn't symptomatic, the risk is low, and even in other cases where the person has been symptomatic, we haven't seen any new cases publicly tied to plane travel. And if you're wondering about the production itself, Pope says they actually weren't producing today or tomorrow, and they're still waiting to get more information to decide whether they resume production on Sunday. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Peter. That's Here and Now's Peter Cowan reporting live. Well, the opposition is wondering why testing isn't happening for more travelers when they arrive. In this case, the testing was done by a private company. Crosby says we have extra testing capacity, and this case shows the benefits of testing people when they arrive.
We know there are lots of people who have the infection, but they're not showing symptoms. So we cut it that way. If it's good enough for industry, why isn't it good enough for protecting the general public? The new premier seems to agree with me on the need for more testing. And there seems to be a wedge here between Dr. Haggie, the Minister of Health, who consistently has said he does not believe in doing more testing, including at points of entry.
Well, if you were hoping to save some money on home renovations during this time, today is the last day to submit an application for the provincial rebate program. Here Now's Meg Roberts has more.
Scott Wilson has sold about 3 times the number of greenhouses this year than he did last year. He attributes some of that to people spending more time outdoors during the pandemic, but says the province's $30 million incentive has been a help.
Certainly the rebate program would definitely have added.
The program offers a rebate of up to 25% of the cost of a home renovation or new home construction up to $10,000. More than 8,500 applications have been submitted. Today was the deadline to apply. The number of interested participants has even surprised the Canadian Home Builders Association, which says the rebate is good news for the economy.
It's quite possible that we'll end up with $150, $160 million worth of work out of this project, which is a great stimulus to the economy. Most contractors I've heard have hired on new staff to keep up with demands. So it is definitely doing what it's supposed to.
The Home Builders Association says applications will be first come, first serve. But Mercer says most of the eligible applications will get money. The concern now is whether these projects can be completed by the March 31st deadline, especially considering the supply issues facing contractors.
There's always a challenge trying to get all the materials, and right now stain is the issue. There's none in the province. My wife called every hardware store in Newfoundland, found some in Glovertown, so we went to Glovertown last weekend to get some stain.
The Home Builders Association says they believe the supply demands will be resolved come the fall. But if not, the Minister of Finance says the province will consider extending the deadline. Meg Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, starting Wednesday, all Walmart shoppers and staff will be required to wear a mask. That's not just here in this province. That rule goes for all Walmart stores across Canada. Masks are already mandatory in more than 60% of its Canadian stores. The company is encouraging customers to bring their own masks with them when they shop. There are more than 400 Walmart stores across the country. Well, many more Canadians got a call or text last month to come back to work. The July employment report is out, and it shows half the jobs lost in the lockdown are back. The Canadian economy created 419,000 jobs in the month of July, and the unemployment rate dropped to just under 11%. That's down from a 13.7% spike in May, with gains in the last 3 months. The job market has returned to about 93% of its previous capacity, but there are still 1.3 million fewer jobs in Canada than before COVID. Visible minority groups appear to have been hit disproportionately hard by the economic toll of the virus, while the nation's overall jobless rate is near 11%. Unemployment rates for South Asian, Arab, and Black Canadians average just over 17%. Well, a business in Central is cutting back. If you're calling for a late-night cab in Gander, you may have to wait. In a move to stay afloat during COVID, the town's only cab company is reducing its hours. And as Here and Now's Garrett Berry reports, that decision is having a ripple effect across the town.
In COVID, I was waiting up to 6.5 hours for a call during our night shifts.
It's been a long few months and not much to show for it.
I still got to spend my expenses of $19 a day for insurance and my gas and whatever. So I might be bringing home about $50 or $60 a day.
These days, there's just more of this, waiting around. So Busy Bee decided to end their overnight shifts on weekdays.
Our driver counts went down as well because of COVID, so we had to choose our hours differently.
They're hardly alone. Even businesses that are weathering the storm.
We really have a hard time just trying to figure out what to expect from day to day. But generally, it's a bit better than I thought it was going to be.
Have made big changes.
We just did the changeover a couple of years ago from Bistro on Road to the Newfoundland Tea Company, and we were going to go 7 days a week this summer, and we were fully staffed for the first time ever. But you know, things have a way of changing, and you just kind of got to roll with it.
But this change has got people talking.
I can't safely operate my business without taxis in this town, and I certainly can't be giving patrons rides home.
The owner of this bar says she might be forced to change her hours.
My hand is absolutely being forced. You know, I have a job to do, and I do my job well, where I try to serve within, you know, my rules and regulations. But if that customer decides to have that extra 1 or 2 drinks and leave their vehicle and thinking that, hey, I can do this, at the end of the night realizing, hey, I live on the other side of town, and now I have no way home. It just really puts me in a hard situation.
That's not her only concern.
What if I needed, again, to go to the hospital at 2 a.m., I twisted my foot, I can't drive? Do I want to spend $150, $180 for an ambulance?
Fry says those answers can't be on the backs of local cab drivers.
They're unhappy about it, but a lot of people don't understand the economics behind the taxi industry either. They don't understand that.
Well, it's been talked about for years now, hunters donating wild game to food banks in this province. Now, government and the Food Sharing Association seem to be giving the green light. Here and Now's Colleen Connors explains.
the government issued more than 20,000 moose licenses for this hunting season. The Community Food Sharing Association that runs food banks in this province thinks it's a great concept, hunters donating excess meat to help feed hungry families during the winter months.
It just fills the void because food banks generally don't get a lot of protein items like that donated. So if we could get together with the government and set up a program that would enable hunters to legally donate moose meat to the local food bank, I think it would be a win-win situation for everyone.
Government is all for it, saying food banks are moving away from non-perishables.
Because when Egg Walters, who's very respected, comes forward and says, one of the best gifts you can give, and we would encourage, food banks would encourage it, is to give raw moose meat to food banks. Obviously, we know something has changed, and maybe this comes from where COVID occurred. We did have donations of milk and eggs and chicken to food banks, surplus from farmers, which was hugely successful.
And Byrne asks, why stop there?
We have an abundance in Newfoundland and Labrador of other products, such as cod from the food fishery. We have community gardens where people can donate their own produce, all of which are perishable, but can help feed the hungry.
Before any of that can be considered, Walters at the Community Food Sharing Association will poll all the food banks across the province to see if they are willing and able to accept wild game. Next, government has to re-examine the Wildlife Act. Byrne says the legal team within his department are currently looking to amend the Wildlife Act so that the wording reflects that food banks can accept this wild game meat. Barry Fordham is an avid hunter who believes there is enough extra meat to fill freezers at local food banks. He wants his program, Hunters Helping the Hungry, to be a part of this.
With some public education, some public campaigning, and getting the word out there and everything else, I think that it will be a great success, because we hunters have always wanted to share the harvest with our family, friends, and this just gives us another avenue now to do that as well.
If the local food banks are willing to take wild game, a lot of logistics still need to be hashed out, like cost, food safety, and quantities of meat. That'll take some time. The Food Sharing Association feels wild game won't be in local food bank freezers until the next hunting season. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, in less than 2 weeks, Dwight Ball will step down as Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador. Premier-designate Andrew Furey is set to be sworn in at Government House in St. John's on Wednesday the 19th, making him the 14th Premier of our province. Our Peter Cowan sat down with the outgoing Premier today, and we'll bring you that special two-part interview Monday on Here and Now. But here's some of what he had to say.
You can get through the health crisis that we have here, but the financial situation, now we have the oil and gas sector that is layered onto that as well. That needs a future. That creates thousands of jobs for Newfoundland and Labrador, and is really the foundation of much of the financial situation that we're dealing with. So the federal government would need to step up. This is a situation where we can really help ourselves with the support for our oil and gas industry. It supports our environmental issues within our province. We have some of the best or least carbon intense oil in the world. We would be in the top 10% of a jurisdiction of oil producing jurisdictions for the type of oil that we have. It's sought after. It's something that checks the environmental box, as they say, but also the economic woes of our province is directly tied to our oil and gas industry.
He's a real pleasure to work for. I'm really happy that he's my boss and one of my best friends.
Making friends hasn't always come easy. She nominated her boss for an inclusion award, and he won. Their story coming up.
It's a good weekend to get stuff done around the backyard if you haven't had a chance yet. Lots of summer weather on the way. A little bit of a cool down, though, for parts of Labrador as we head into next week. I'll have all those details and your full forecast coming up.
This weather update is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. This year, it's Stay Home Year, the year to rediscover home.
Ashley is here now with a look at the weather forecast, and what a way to kick off the weekend. It is gorgeous outside.
Yeah, it certainly has that summer feel. It's been summer-like for the last couple of days, and we're certainly going to continue to see that as we head through the weekend. Let's take a look at those temperatures across the board, sitting in the mid to high 20s for most of us, feeling much nicer, more comfortable, let's say, than yesterday. 23 degrees in St. John's, 26 in Gander, so another hot one for you. 24 degrees in Corner Brook, and then those temperatures rebounding for Lab City. 23 degrees this afternoon, 27 the story for Happy Valley Goose Bay. We're still sitting there as well, and expecting these temperatures to stay quite mild as we head into the evening hours. Those humidex values, like I mentioned, still into the mid to high 20s, but feeling a lot more comfortable than it was yesterday, feeling more like 27 in Happy Valley Goose Bay as we speak. So we do have that area of low pressure has moved offshore. Beautiful day up through Labrador. We did see some cloud cover through most of the afternoon for parts of central and along the south, or at least inland on the south coast. And this potential, we talked about it yesterday, the potential for a few scattered pop-up showers. That risk will still continue as we head through the evening tonight. Don't be surprised if they do happen. However, they could just be some cloud cover that will roll through. Other than that, though, we're looking at a beautiful evening tonight. The winds will eventually die down tonight, anywhere from 12 to as much as 16 degrees. So a beautiful evening. If you have any plans for tonight, 17 degrees will be the overnight low in Nain. And again, anywhere from 5 to as much as 20 km/h winds for the Big Land. Now, tomorrow, very much of the same. We could see that afternoon potential again of some pop-up showers. But other than that, plenty of sunshine. The potential for some thunderstorms for Lab West and northern Labrador, as well as a little bit of a disturbance will move through for you. And then some increasing cloud overnight or into the evening hours, overnight into Sunday morning. Temperatures will be beautiful again tomorrow, mid to high 20s with that humidex, feeling a little bit warmer, close to the 30s through central and along the west coast. Winds anywhere from 15 to 20 km/h. You'll see a wind shift from southeasterlies to southwesterlies in the east. And then up through the Big Land, heat advisory in effect for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then Norman Bay to Lodge Bay, as well as Cartwright to Black Tickle. And that's because look at your temperatures, anywhere from 29 to 30 degrees. Overnight lows not much better, or cool, or not much cooler than that rather, sitting around the 20-degree mark as you head through the overnight hours. So you will see this continue pretty much through the day on Sunday, and there's that risk of thunderstorms I was talking about. Now Sunday, mentioned the potential for some showers yesterday. Looks like that low is going to stay offshore, keeping things generally dry. The first half of the day for eastern Newfoundland will probably be cloudy, and then some showers for the Beirut and southern Avalon. Other than that, just shower activity and unsettled for the Big Land. And then into Monday, we'll see the potential for some showers along the west coast, but the temperatures are going to stay gorgeous. Again, in the mid to high 20s for the majority of the province. However, some cooler temperatures will start to move in for Sunday for northern portions, and you'll see that cooler air sink south into Monday with the return of the unsettled weather for Labrador. But after that, another beautiful day in the 20s, mid to high 20s again across the island, and it looks like that is going to continue. Now, again, those pop-up afternoon showers possible, but overall, plenty of sunshine on tap for the next couple of days with your highs in the mid-20s. A little bit warmer for both central and western Newfoundland with highs 27, 28 degrees. So a beautiful stretch of some warm weather. And then for eastern Labrador, after that cool down, you will rebound beautifully Tuesday and Wednesday. And then for western Labrador, anywhere from 20 to 24 degrees over the next 5 days. Wanted to share this lovely shot sent in by Agnes of the sunset in Castor River South. Thank you for sharing that lovely shot with us. And if you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Ashley. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Well, a St. John's business owner has been named a Special Olympics Canada Champion of Inclusion. Peter Halley of Spirit of Newfoundland was given the award last month after being nominated by one of his employees. Here Now's Jeremy Eaton brings you that story.
This year they were looking for champions of inclusion, people who go above and beyond to make people with special needs feel, welcome and accepted. And when I got the email asking for nominees, I was like, okay, I know right away who I'm gonna put in. Peter definitely deserves this award for sure. I have Asperger's syndrome, which is a mild form of autism, and agenesis of the corpus callosum, and anxiety. I run the gamut of medical diagnosis beginning with letter A. Giving me my first job was a big one for sure. Accepting me for who I am and giving me a chance here in the workplace. In school, I never really did fit in. I got bullied a lot by my neurotypical, that's a big sciencey word meaning normal, peers. And when I met Peter almost 10 years ago, he was one of the first ever neurotypical people to actually, be nice to me and want to be around me. And yeah, finally finding a neurotypical person that actually wanted to be my friend instead of making fun of me, that was huge.
We've always been inclusive with our employees, and we have people that are literally part of our family here who, especially these days, we have some people that come by all the time because they are so connected to their regular routine that we have to, we spend a lot of time with them because it's such a hard time right now. It's easy to feel good about having Leah because she's always so vocal about, and thankful. So she will blog or she will thank us, and she's really great at her job, and she will be the first one to say that she didn't really know what her job is here because there's so many things that she does.
Honestly, like a weight lifts off my shoulders. Like I'm somewhere where I'm wanted and accepted, and I can be myself without worrying about being made fun of. This is heaven for me, honestly. Well, I was very proud of him, of course, and I was so thrilled that he had won this title. Like, I felt he absolutely deserved it, and it was so wonderful for me when I found out that he actually got the title. It was great.
It made me feel great. It's always a surprise to know what she's up to and cooking, and and speaking of cooking, she's a good cook too. She'll always show up at my door with things. But it was really beautiful. A lot of people commented on social media, and again, I really wasn't familiar with the whole process. But having read what she wrote, it just made me feel great. Of course,
he's made a really big impact on my life, and I'm blessed to be able to know him and to say that he's my friend and my music teacher and my boss. And I'd really like to just say, give people like me a chance, like Peter has done. We're pretty cool people, and if you get a chance to get to know us instead of just making fun of us right off the bat, you'll see how amazing that we really are, and you'll probably make a new best friend for life.
What do you enjoy most about being out on the water?
Freedom. The freedom of being alone and steering and having the control of my own boat.
Welcome back to Hearing Now. A group in St. John's is making sailing more accessible. Able Sail NL was established in 2018 and aims to introduce more people to the sport, specifically those with physical and mental disabilities. The CBC's Alex Kennedy tagged along as the group headed onto the water.
Haley, are you ready? One, release us.
Release Brian.
Release the floor. Release Skywalker.
You're great, Billy.
All right, Haley, do you want to have everything? Yeah, sure. All right, it's all you. I'm just chilling.
I've been sailing since I was about 12. I first started in access dinghies, and in 2016 I went to my first mobility cup race in these boats here. These are the Martin 16s.
You want to let it out until it's luffing. What luffing looks like is when a bubble starts to happen. So you set your sail out till it luffs, and then you bring it in to ease it. So you're constantly easing it out till it's luffing and bringing it in. Able Sail was created to provide accessible sailing to people who might otherwise not be able to go sailing. If someone's got a physical or a mental disability, we don't want that to be a barrier to sailing. So Able Sail provides equipment, knowledge, training, and funds necessary towards any groups that want to provide accessible sailing in Newfoundland. One of the instructors used a power wheelchair. We've partnered with the Royal Newfoundland Yacht Club, Ocean Quest and Ocean Yacht Sales, and several others to try to be as inclusive as possible with our sailing school. So if an athlete wants to learn how to sail, they can come and join at the Yacht Club Sailing School. And if needed, we've got specially adapted boats, and our coaches are specially trained to be able to provide lessons to people that otherwise might find it difficult to go sailing.
Remember to keep your jib completed. Remember in light winds how we can do that? Yeah, see? You're doing it. All right, let's go up and I'll try to get a photo.
For the past 3 years before I came here, I was a part of AQVA, which is Adapted Sailing in Montreal. Runs out of Point Claire Yacht Club, and it's a much bigger program, so we were hoping to kind of build a program here, which hopefully one day will be quite similar.
There we go.
I've been sailing pretty much my whole life since I was 7 years old, and in my first program there was a girl who was in an access dinghy, and we never really saw it as any different, and I think that just kind of stood with me, and I just fell in love with it, and here we are. I have a kinesiology degree, and I'm hoping to go into a career in healthcare to help people with disabilities and other stuff like that, and it just means a lot to me that they get to experience real freedom, and they don't have any limits when they're on the water.
Okay, and when I say to tack, what you're going to do is you're going to lean your boat as far over towards me as possible. And then when you tack, you're going to push it across. It's going to come all the way around, and when I say now, that's when you're going to jump across and flatten your boat. Okay? Tack. There you go. Lean and back. Boom. That's an exaggerated, but that's what you're going for. The easiest way is to find us on Facebook at Able Sail NL, and then just message us there, and we can help push further than that. We're looking for someone to help us with accounting, someone to help us more with our webpage and social media stuff. We're always looking for volunteers to come help, from schlepping gear to being a companion sailor to help people with disabilities that aren't capable of, for example, of pulling ropes, maybe to be the rope puller for them. So really, all arrays of people can get involved. Look at you, first in the fleet! Way to go!
One of our main goals is we're hoping to have Mobility Cup come here. It's our international sailing regatta where we have sailors from across Canada and some from the States who come up and they sail and compete against each other. And other than that, just getting as many people out on the water that we can each season and having a blast.
It's great that we're getting people involved in sailing, and great that I'll have some people to race against in the future.
I have a huge love of sailing and a massive desire to share it. So when I see people out sailing, whether it's their first time or whether it's someone like an athlete, like today we had Haley Redmond, who in the past would have to fly to Ottawa to do a summer camp over there to be able to sail. To be able to have her sail in her own waters out from her own home is amazing.
Freedom. The freedom of being alone and steering and having the control of my own boat. It means everything to me.
What a lovely program, and I particularly enjoyed her name, Skywalker. That's fantastic. And speaking of people's names, some people on social media using the name Karen to describe certain kinds of demanding behavior from white middle-aged women. Recently, the meme has been linked to racist and dangerous behavior. The CBC's Rachel Cave has more on what's going on and how some New Brunswickers named Karen feel about it.
Karens in New Brunswick have been watching their name get hijacked, first as a stand-in for middle-aged white women, entitled and demanding.
You want a manager to talk to me? You bring your manager here. You get up.
And she's also described as being a nagging, often divorced mother from Generation X. Very flattering.
Then came the meltdown Karens, refusing to wear a face mask during the pandemic. Karens, who used to like the sound of their names, started feeling uncomfortable.
I can tell you I was a little worried that you were going to ask me to introduce myself at the beginning of this, so I'm glad that you didn't.
Last spring, a black man, a bird watcher in New York City, recorded the reaction of a woman after he asked her to put her dog on a leash, and she became known as Central Park Karen.
There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
That is really the most upsetting reference to the name that I've heard.
People who study media say the power of a meme that goes viral is how fast it can convey an idea or a character.
And it becomes this shorthand. And so I think when we think about how we communicate, through Twitter and social media, we want that kind of speed, we want that instant understanding.
Sometimes memes have no deeper meaning. It is just grumpy cat or captions over Baby Yoda. But the Karen meme won't go away. It persists, perhaps because the behavior that it has come to represent also persists.
It's really sharpening our conversations about race so that we're not just talking about racialized folks, but we're talking about white folks and some of the privileges that people with white skin walk around with.
The Karens I spoke to, who say they do care about their fellow human beings, say this is a hard load to carry. They say it's not as hurtful or even fatal as racism can be, but it's not funny anymore.
It's cool lingo and people like their cool lingo, but I've seen cool lingo go out of style, so I'm hoping that maybe Karen will go out of style. But people seem really excited about using Karen, and I think it's because maybe whatever the meme portrays is a group of people that they feel comfortable hating on. Like they don't have to really question themselves. They're like, yeah, those are total bitches. I can hate on them.
One Karen says it is difficult, expensive, and emotional to change the name you were born with. Karen Woolley was Kevin David Woolley before she transitioned to a woman.
No, I'll stay with Karen, and it will hurt, but I feel like they'd be trying to hurt me with something else anyways, so I'm not going to run away from, my name, because it's my name.
Welcome back to Hearing Now. Well, 20 years ago this week, a dangerous sex offender escaped out a window during a compassionate visit with his mother. The public was urged to be on the lookout. We dipped into the archives to bring you Natalie Clancy's report from the year 2000.
It's a face people in Newfoundland are on the lookout for, a face women have come to fear. They walk in pairs or not at all.
I'm really scared over it, actually. I have my 2 grandchildren here, and I mean, it's kind of scary that that man is on the loose.
Police say there's plenty reason to worry. They describe Richard Ryan as a sadistic sexual predator.
The alarm that is being felt within the community and primarily within the female community, I unfortunately have to say, is well founded with the likes of Mr. Ryan on the loose.
9 victims in 4 provinces. Ryan was last serving time for raping and beating a prostitute in this hotel. He told the woman he was evil. She needed little convincing after 7 hours of torture. Police are warning the public if they see him, stay away. Not just because of what he's done, but because of what he's capable of. A quiet, former insurance salesman with a cunning ability to fool women. A chameleon who last took on the persona of a university professor to lure his victim.
He is not one, in speaking to him, that the general populace would deem to be a sadistic person and a predator that he is.
So how did he get out? An embarrassed Justice Department says he was visiting his dying mother at this home near St. John's, his 7th compassionate visit, when something went wrong. With no shackles and only 1 guard, he climbed out of a window before anyone knew it.
Well, it's quite obvious here that there was a breakdown of some kind because Mr. Ryan escaped. That's a given. It's also quite clear from the policies we have that he should have had 2, but he only had 1 escort.
While people here are waiting and hoping for Ryan to be found and arrested, the bigger question is still, how did someone so dangerous manage to slip away so easily? Natalie Clancy, CBC News, St. John's.
Wow, and Ryan was at large for 3 weeks before a break in the case. Here's what happened.
You can bet they used handcuffs this time. Richard Ryan, bitten by a police dog, limps back into custody after 3 weeks on the run.
With Mr. Ryan again in custody, our community can again feel safe.
So far, 14 corrections workers have been suspended for letting it happen, while police are being called heroes for bringing him back. The break in the case came after a $25,000 reward was offered Friday, a tip that someone bought Ryan a car that was spotted and was not far from Ryan's well-outfitted campsite.
The officer we left at the scene had noticed that there was movement underneath the bushes. We all came back. The helicopter hovered over the area until the K9 unit and the other investigators came back and went into this little wooded area where Mr. Ryan was apprehended.
What did that feel like?
Felt great.
These are the officers that got him, their feet still wet from chasing Ryan through a bog.
It's a great feeling to get this guy behind because my kids can sleep out in the tent these days, you know. Again, you know, everyone's been in fear from my children to all the other people.
So they just captured him today? That's really good.
It's great, wonderful. Lock him up, throw away the key.
That may happen. Ryan is awaiting a hearing to have him declared a dangerous offender. He also faces more charges for escaping. With Ryan now behind bars, the focus is shifting to another investigation to find out who helped Richard Ryan, who bought him a getaway car, and who gave him all that camping equipment. There could soon be more answers. There will likely be more charges. Natalie Clancy, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Richard Ryan remains incarcerated. His request for parole was denied last year. Ottawa upped the ante today in the latest trade dispute with the U.S. Chrystia Freeland says Canada will retaliate against Donald Trump's new 10% tariff on Canadian aluminum exports, matching it dollar for dollar. The Deputy Prime Minister called the U.S. action unnecessary, unwarranted, and entirely unacceptable.
At a time when we are fighting a global pandemic, working on both sides of the Canada-U.S. border to prevent loss of life and preserve jobs, A trade dispute is the last thing anyone needs. It will only hurt the economic recovery on both sides of the border.
Freeland said Washington's decision to impose a tariff on Canadian aluminum is, quote, absurd because it will hurt U.S. citizens most. It would raise U.S. prices on many consumer goods, from canned soda and beer to bikes and cars. Even washing machines made at the Whirlpool plant where the U.S. president made his announcement would end up costing more. If the U.S. tax goes into effect as planned on August 16th, Canada will slap retaliatory tariffs on $3.6 billion worth of U.S. aluminum products by September 16th. Lebanon's president says he knew about the massive stockpile of explosive materials stored at Beirut's port weeks before Tuesday's blast. But he appears to be trying to pin the blame elsewhere and perhaps even on an outside attack. Rebecca Collard has these details.
Comments today from Lebanon's political leaders. First of all, the country's president made a statement saying that it's possible that there was some sort of outside interference, a bomb or a rocket that caused the explosion here on Tuesday. And since this explosion, there has been a lot of speculation, a lot of theories, conspiracy theories, and finger pointing that it could be an attack, that it could have been some sort of attempt to derail the verdict into the killing of a former prime minister that was due today. But nobody has provided any evidence that it was anything other than negligence and an accident. Also had the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, speak, and he denied the accusations that Hezbollah had anything to do with controlling the port or to do with this explosion. I can tell you the people on the streets here, and there's thousands that have come to Beirut to help volunteer, are really sick of all these statements. They blame the whole leadership for what happened, and they're asking that there be an investigation, not just by the Lebanese government, but also with some sort of foreign body.
The situation is really dire. Victims' calls for accountability must be heard, including through undertaking an impartial, independent, thorough, and transparent investigation into the explosion.
Rebecca Collard, CBC News, Beirut.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic surpassed a grim milestone late yesterday with more than 700,000 deaths worldwide. The United States continues to have the highest virus-related mortality of all nations. India, with more than 4 times the population, has 1/4 the number of deaths. But its numbers are rising, with infections now surpassing the 2 million mark. In the recent past, WHO global figures show a COVID-19 related death every 15 seconds. That's about 5,900 lives lost every 24 hours. Mexico now has the 3rd highest mortality rate in the world, topping 50,000 deaths. Closed-circuit TV cameras caught this miracle moment earlier this week in northwestern Turkey. This 41-year-old man was waiting for the bus at the roadside when it became very clear the bus was coming straight at him. Call it instinct or athletic skill or more luck in one moment than most have in a lifetime. It turns out the driver of the passenger van lost control, veering towards the pedestrian. The vehicle grazed his leg, but he lived to tell the tale. Time to find out who's celebrating. Happy 51st wedding anniversary to Teresa and Charles Daly of St. John's. Happy 58th wedding anniversary to Ben and Catherine Farrell of Harbor Grace. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Bob and Mary Keating of Conception Harbor. Happy 67th anniversary to Walter and Anna Reed of Norris Point. Congratulations to Charlie and Marion Cook. They're celebrating their 50th. Happy 56th anniversary to Palma and Winston Pretty of Shearstown. Lawrence and Beatrice Drodge are celebrating their golden anniversary. They're from Little Hearts Ease. Congratulations. Happy 51st wedding anniversary to Ruth and George Colburn of Carbonear. Happy 55th anniversary to Clayton and Fern Reed of Grand Falls, Windsor. Best wishes going out to Eugene and Eileen Cody of St. John's on their 50th anniversary. Happy 52nd wedding anniversary to Lloyd and Charity Wagner. The happy couple live in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and we're told they watch CBC News nightly. Thanks for that. Happy 57th anniversary to Roy and Carol Weir of Little Bay Islands. Happy 50th anniversary to Florence and Burley Bailey of Clarenville. Happy 50th anniversary to Roger and Janie Keeping. Happy 59th anniversary to Harold and Penny Duffett of Catalina. Wishing Agnes and Otto Janes from Deer Lake a very happy 59th anniversary. Wishing Roy and Joan Pelly of Deer Lake a happy 50th anniversary. Congratulations to Mavis and Gerald French on their 50th wedding anniversary as well. Fred and Geraldine Miller of Kilbride are celebrating their 64th wedding anniversary. Happy 62nd anniversary to Walter and Vera Matthews of Kippens. Congratulations to Roger and Janie Keeping. They're celebrating 50 years of marriage. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Dawn and Pauline Ash of Corner Brook, now living in St. John's. Happy anniversary to Louis and Julia Wheaton from Fredericton. They are celebrating 57 years of marriage. Wishing William and Beverly Lee a happy 50th anniversary. They live in Conception Bay South. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Gordon and Margaret House of Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy 50th anniversary to Ben and Hazel Mason of Gambo, now living in Glovertown. Happy 50th anniversary to David and Margaret White of Rocky Harbor. Happy 50th wedding anniversary also to Sheila and Herb Fever of Mount Pearl. Claude and Marjorie Russell are celebrating their 56th anniversary. Congratulations. Happy 51st anniversary to Winston and Sadie Martin of St. John's. Happy 60th anniversary to Herb and Pearl Mercer from Bay Roberts. Congratulations to George and Rita Finley of Sandy Point. It's their 50th anniversary. Happy 62nd wedding anniversary to Mike and Madeline Cowell of Point LaHaye, St. Mary's Bay. Congratulations to Kay and Jim Whalen, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Happy 50th wedding anniversary also to Cyril and Evelyn Reed of St. Philip's. Happy 50th anniversary to Jerome and Linda Lewis of Holyrood. Happy 60th anniversary to Patricia and Roy Snow of Gander, now living in St. John's. Sam and Lily Barrow of Gander are celebrating their 64th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Happy 90th birthday to Bill Kirby from Buren. We're told he still walks along the boardwalk every day. Violet Atkinson is celebrating her 90th birthday. She grew up in Catalina and now lives in Ajax, Ontario. Happy birthday to Madonna Shanahan from Corner Brook, who is turning 91. Happy 91st birthday as well to Ethel Jacobs of Little Hearts Ease, now living in Shoal Harbor. William Squires of Sibley's Cove is celebrating his 92nd birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Reverend Ralph Moores. Hope you're enjoying your special day. Happy 90th birthday to Gordon Hiscock of Clarenville, now living in Paradise. Happy birthday to Gerard Kirby of Marystown, who is celebrating his 90th birthday. Happy birthday to Edith Lawrence of Corner Brook, who is turning 92. Ashley's back with her weather recap, so we're heading into the weekend. How's it looking?
Yeah, it's definitely a forecast that everyone wants to hear. Summer is here and it's going to stick around for most of the weekend. There is, however, a chance that we could see some pop-up showers for the west coast heading through central and then eventually eastern Newfoundland tomorrow. Very slight chance, but other than that, plenty of sunshine. Up through Labrador, slight chance we could see some thunderstorms in the west and northern portions. But there's heat warnings in place for the interior and along the coast as well. That will continue pretty much into Sunday, staying a little bit unsettled for the Big Land, but another beautiful day expected for Sunday for the island, except the Beirut and southern Avalon. You could see a few showers through the day.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashley. Well, that wraps up this Friday edition of Here and Now and kicks off a staycation for me. Peter Cowan will be here all next week, and on Monday he'll have a special two-part interview with outgoing Premier Dwight Ball. Dwight Ball will be handing over the reins to Andrew Furey on August 19th. Well, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Have a great weekend.